Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. So in this video we're going to take a piece of 1/2 inch by 1 inch flat stock and we're going to turn it into an easy bending fork for the hardy hole of your anvil. Now I've made another video that should have come out before this where I made this really small, easy to make bending fork just out of some 1/2 inch round material bar stock or 12 mil round. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll put a little card up here that you can go watch that, or it'll be linked up in the description down below. This is a really super simple, easy beginner project, and it has a really great use and effect, like for doing stuff like this, little ornamental pieces, getting into little wavy parts, making different things. It's a really easy tool to make, and it's very handy in the shop. Sometimes, although we like to challenge ourselves at trying to get what we're looking for with hammer and anvil, that can be a little bit tiring for some of us if you're not used to swinging a hammer all the time. And so having a little bending fork where you just give it just a little tweak is a great investment of time for you in your shop. So that's that one. But now we need to take and make something that fits the hardy hole of the anvil. So this way, if you don't have a vise in your shop, you can still have a bending fork. So for the tools for this project, again, you're going to need some 1/2 inch by 1 flat bar stock, or if you will, that is 12 mil by 25 mil bar stock if you're across the pond. We have cut a 2 inch, roughly 2 inches or 50 millimeters of a cut right dead center of this. So basically now we have 2 1/2 inch square bars or 2 12 mil square bars. We're going to go ahead and drive this out and start working on our tines first. So I get this good and hot. Get it really revved up here. And the way that we're going to take and get these split out is we're going to take and use a hardy tool here. And we're going to put that in the anvil. That's going to begin to open up that slit. If you don't have that and you have a sharp edge on one of your anvil, you can use it right at the anvil itself to open that piece up. But since I have a hardy tool, I'm going to use it because that's simple enough. That is part of a basic blacksmithing kit that I would suggest that you get. So this is a quick and easy way of taking and making a bending fork. I call it easy. I would say for beginner level blacksmiths, this might be at the top end of your range to get everything accurate, because it does require you to have some hammer control at the anvil. So it's a good practice piece. If you're an intermediate level smith or you've been a beginner for quite a while, you should be able to handle this project no problem. So I'll be right back with you as soon as this piece is good and hot, and we'll get to forging it. Okay, so our piece is up to temp. We're going to bring it out, set it right on the hardy tool itself, and drive straight down with some gusto. I want to aim back at myself a little bit, aim away from myself a little bit, aim back at myself a little bit, and that's going to get that split open. Then we're going to go to the anvil. And we're going to drive that Y out even further. Now it's going to have a little bit of kipping that it wants to do, a little bit of a suck down right where the crack was or the saw cut was. Don't worry about that. You can just dress that out a little bit. It's not really a big deal. So now that these are out, now we can take and forge them round. So we'll go ahead and get that heated back up. So now that each leg's heated back up, we're going to focus on taking this to octagon. And then we're going to round it up. It's okay if you get a slight taper in this piece right now. That's okay. Don't worry about that. You can always clean this up a little bit with a file before you bend it closed. For this demonstration purpose, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to forge it to its natural shape that it wants to be. If you want to get it perfectly round, I would suggest cleaning it up with a file and or a sander or grinder. That's a great way of doing that. And there we go. We've got both of our legs forged around. Now you need to work out the width in between the two pieces that you would like. With this 2-inch saw cut or 50 mil long saw cut, you can bend them almost completely flat, forge them out a little bit, and then just bend them up ever so slightly and get fairly large bar stock into it. Or you can just bend them back up and set them down on whatever size material, maximum size material you plan on making that bending fork hold. You want to have several sizes of bending forks, not just one size fits all. As an example, here I've got my smallest bending fork that I had to date, and this is a great bending fork, but it can only do so big of a radius, so sometimes I need a lot tighter radiuses, and you can't get it in here. It just swivels around. If you make a big bending fork, you'll see what I mean. Just practice with it, and you'll get the concept. So you have to kind of decide what you want to do. I am personally, so if you make something that holds, say, 1/4 inch, it's going to work on anything up to 1/4 inch. Obviously, you can't fit 1/2 inch or 12 mil. If you make it 6 mil, you can't fit 12 mil into it, right? So with that being said, this next step defines the largest piece of stock that you're going to be able to take and scroll around or use the bending fork for. So since I don't have a size in 1/2 inch or 12 mil bar, that's what I'm going to size my fork to. I'm going to go ahead and get this heated up really nice and clean. Again, if you need to take and clean this up, or you got a bunch of hammer marks, you don't want them, or weird blows, now's the time to do it before you close this up, because once they're parallel, they become a pain in the butt to get in at. Again, for this demonstration, to keep it short, I'm going to do my best to just do it live the way it is. So I'm going to clean up that a little bit, and then I'm going to just start hitting out at the tips, and I'm going to start putting that bar in there that it's going to be bent around. Flip it over. That's looking good. I need to make a small adjustment, so I'm going to step that over just to square it up. It looks pretty good. Okay, hammer back on that bit there. Straighten these forks out. So it's all right now, it's just a straightening game to make the fork do what you want it to do. It doesn't matter if you get flats on the outside of the piece, you just want the inside of the piece to be fairly smooth. So now that we've got our fork, as you can see, one leg I drew out a little more than the other, so you can always just sand or file that back, or it just really won't matter. Now we need to take and make this for the hardy hole. The way that we're going to do that is we're going to cool off the fork section, and we're going to take and bend back this section of the bar piece. We're going to bend this back on itself, and what that will give us effectively, since we already have 1 inch in this direction and we have 1/2 inch in this direction, when we fold it back on itself, it's going to give us 1 inch in this direction and 1 inch in this direction, which will fit a 1 inch square hardy hole. Or for you guys across the pond, 12 mil and 12 mil, or 12.5 and 12.5 mil is going to make, obviously, 25 mil and that 25 mil. So that'll give you that 25 by 25 mil hardy shank. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so I'll heat this back up. I'm going to cut it off somewhere about right in here, and then I'll get to bending it. You can do all this in a gas forge, by the way. Forgot to tell you that. You can do all this in a gas forge. But you will need to take and cool off the areas with a dipper can that you don't want to take and bend. Otherwise this thing's going to go all whopper jaw on you, and it's not going to be very nice. Okay, so we've got this piece cut off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the horn and we're going to thin the area that we need to bend around. This is going to make it easier to bend this material around for us. So we're going to select that point on the anvil. And you're just going to hammer straight down on that portion alone. And that's going to give you a little bit of a waste. What that will then allow you to do is bend this piece a lot easier. Hopefully you guys can see that. Now you may say, but Roy, thinning it down there, isn't that going to create a wake spot? And yes, it is. But here's the great thing about that. We only need to take and protect this thing from torsion, not hammer blows or back and forth. So it's all torsion. So really all we're trying to do right now is create a place, create a square that'll fit the hardy hole, so this way it won't torque around like that. We're not trying to keep this piece from impact. This isn't in a high intensity area. This is just so this way we don't have a welder. We don't have to weld on a hardy shank or something like that. Because again, it's just a torsion piece. So this being all one piece, it's actually going to be stronger than what this is, which is just a 1/2 inch rod bent around in a U and then welded to the top of some 1-inch mild steel. This fully forged piece is going to be a lot stronger because there's no welds, there's no stress areas like stress risers like the joint here itself that could be made. So this is going to hold up, this tool will hold up a lot longer than the other. Now I will say that other bending fork that I just showed you there, I've had that in my shop for about 8 years, so they last a long time anyhow. So it's not really much of a concern, but longevity wise, you make a tool like this, and unless you just think it's ugly and don't want to see it in your shop no more, it should last you a lifetime. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and bend this some more. That makes that area nice and easy to bend. Start hammering back towards ourselves. Okay. Straight down. And you're going to see that it has a little bit of wishbone or pucker there. We're going to drive that out of it. So this way we get back to our original parent bar stock width. And then we'll just check it for fit. And there it is. So now it's in the anvil. As you can see, it sits down there fairly low, which is a good thing. If you don't want it to sit down that low, you can always drive a wedge in it a bit and open this up a little bit so it just kind of wedges down into the anvil. It's your choice. It's perfectly fine if it goes all the way down in the anvil like that. It's only going to provide it more stability when you bend stuff. So now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and hammer this joint out a little bit more. We're good to go. Since it's mild steel and I'm trying to make the demo somewhat short today, I'm going to go ahead and cool this off in the slack tub. And while that cools off, I'm going to go ahead and get another piece ready to take and show you it in use. Okay everyone, so here we are. Here's a piece of 1/2 inch square stock, mild steel, or 12 mil mild steel. And hopefully you guys can see the use now of a pair of nice bending forks like that. So again, it's a simple tool. It doesn't have to be overly sophisticated, and it can help you do some simple projects. Again, if you can't do this with your hands and your wrists and things like that, maybe you're a little older in life and you're looking for some easier ways, consider some easier ways of, bending things at the anvil and otherwise. Consider adding a bending fork to your list. So that's it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, God bless you, and we will catch you on the next one.